Welcome back to Healing the Abused Inner Child 11 Days program, and a very warm welcome to day 6. As I mentioned yesterday, we're going to talk about how we give ourselves permission to grieve. So grieving is quite interesting if you ask me, because grieving is really the acceptance of knowing what we will never get. And this can only happen after we have let go of the hope of this fantasy family that we will never have. And this illusion of a family that really doesn't exist. So why do we need to give ourselves permission to grieve? Why do we need to give our inner child permission to grieve? Right now, it's our inner child that is sad. It's our inner child that actually is grieving of what it never received. But the thing is that we haven't connected with the inner child if we are still denying or refusing to grieve. So giving ourselves permission to grieve is so crucial in order to get movement and in order to actually release the ties to the past. Because if we have not accepted what it is that we'll never get, we will still crave it unconsciously. We will still walk around hoping that one day someone will come into our life and then they will give us what we still hope that we will get. So when we give ourselves permission to grieve, we stop denying the truth. We stop denying what it really is that happened to us, how painful it really was. And we stop denying what we never received and what we will never get in the future. But it's very, very normal and it's very common to resist this grieving process, because the grieving process is connected to letting go of all that we never received. And that means that we would have to go in and feel how painful it really is to never have received it. So let's say that you grew up with self-absorbed, narcissistic parents who abused you, neglected you, manipulated you, mistreated you, and you have to accept that that's what happened, right? You will have to accept and you will have to allow yourself to feel how painful that was, because then you will naturally transform this into a grieving process. And the other thing is that grieving is so natural when healing and recovering from trauma. It's actually a really important step in the recovering and in the healing process to allow ourselves to grieve. And again, it's also such a natural feeling to grieve. So I want you to sit down and cultivate being in a meditative state. And then I want you to connect with your inner child. I want you to ask your inner child what it never received, what it is that it never received from the caregivers, the parents, and how that felt like, how painful it was to never receive that. Grieving is also really a very beautiful practice of self-love, because you go in and then you love those parts of you that feel hurt, and you begin loving those parts of you that were denied, that you were not allowed to feel and express, and the part of you that you couldn't unfold because you had to stay in this role while being in this family. You had to become someone else. You had to become someone else in order to survive. So allowing yourself to grieve is really about loving yourself so deeply. Give yourself the love that you never received from those who are supposed to love you unconditionally. I hope you're up for this exercise by cultivating, allowing yourself to grieve, allowing yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel around this grieving process. Maybe you're actually really, really angry because you were so abandoned. And then you give yourself permission to be fucking angry. And you give yourself permission to cry. You give yourself permission to scream and yell and smash your hands in a pillow. Scream into a pillow if that's what you want. It's about stop running and start loving all the parts of you that hurt. That was the exercise for today. I am so excited to be back with the next video tomorrow on day 7, where we are going to talk about the art of letting go. And we're going to talk about our coping mechanisms and our people-pleasing. So get ready for tomorrow. It's gonna be so interesting. I wish you an amazing day. Bye for now.